It was a 6 months long internship, but it extended to being, I'll tell you which college, Surendra Kumar, just a second. So it was a 6 month long internship and it extended to be a 10 month long internship just because my college did not give me the authority to get a PPO from there, just because I was there in college at that time. So it cannot be turned into full-time employee. And about the college, I am from Maharaja Agrasen Institute of Technology, which come under IP University itself. Like you guys are also from IP University, right? So yeah, and just for your information, my exam centers were there in Dr. Akhilesh Das Gupta only.
Okay.
So all my
Even
IPU exams have been there.
even
So
I
I've
am
visited,
from Dr. Akhilesh Das Gupta.
yeah, I have visited that college like every semester during the exams.
Okay.
Cool. So that's all about me. And today we have our resume building session. So, yeah, everyone, you can turn on your cameras if all of you are comfortable. And let's start with the session if all of you are there. Cool. Please give me a thumbs up or anything. You can. Sure, sure, sure. Cool. I'll just share my screen, okay? And then you can tell me if it is visible or not. Cool. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Visible, right?
Yes.
Cool. So let's start with today's session, and it's based on resume building. So as we all know that before entering to any of the companies, before trying to apply to any of the firms, we have to first send our resume to that company, or it is also known as curriculum vitae or CV in French language. So today we will be talking about how to build a great resume and what is a resume cycle. By resume cycle, I mean what all criteria or what all methods are there that are involved in building a resume, and how is a resume is going through all of these cycles and getting to the final interviewer where he or she checks and evaluates your resume. Got it? So this slide was about my introduction, but I think we have done that already. So I'll just skip it by saying hello, everyone. Now, I'll tell you about a random fact. That is 75% of the resumes are not even seen by a human recruiter. So basically, this fact is to grab your attention, and that is like all of the resumes that you are creating, they are not even seen by a human recruiter, and they are even rejected before that. Now there is a process. I'll tell you about that process when we will go to our next slide, and that is when we'll discuss what is our resume cycle. So talking about a resume cycle का मतलब होता है कि resume कौन कौन से phases से होके गुजरता है. Okay. So first of all, the very first method is creating your resume. That is you are currently doing right now, right? You are creating your resume. After that, there is a software that is known as ATS, which is also known as applicant tracking system. Most of you, I think, are aware of this software. So this is one of those software that is that acts as a mediator, जो कि बीच में होता है between a recruiter and a candidate. Okay, so this is the one that rejects your resume even when it is not even seen by the actual recruiter. Okay, so you have to make a resume that can pass all of these cycles. Like it can pass the ATS as well. Then after that, going to the recruiter, your resume should pass the recruiter review as well. And then when it goes to the final interviewer who will be taking your interview, for example, if you are applying for a SD position, then the SD role position, then the final interviewer who will be taking your interview, be that a manager or engineer, whosoever will be taking your interview, your resume should pass that condition as well. Okay, so this is the cycle of the resume. Like if you create a resume, then it should pass through the ATS software, then it should pass through the recruiter review. Recruiter is the one who is just acting like taking your resume, finalizing who all will be selected for this particular role. And then your interviewer is the one who is actually taking your interview. And if you are rejected at this part, then you have to again go back to the first part where you have to create your resume in a better way. Got it? Any questions? Anything?
No, sir.
Cool. I believe that this is clear. Now, what we will do is, in this talk, what we will do, we will divide our talk into 4 parts. The first part will be in which we will try to create a resume, a basic resume, in which we will gather all the necessary details, जिसमें हम देखेंगे कि कौन कौन सी चीज़ें बहुत ज़्यादा necessary हैं एक resume create करते हुए. I'll be talking about a resume mostly in the case of a software development role. Okay, mostly in a case of mostly in the case in which you want to become a software engineer. My creating resume will be inclined towards that as well. Will be inclination will be towards that, because I think all of you are under the BTech background only, right? So that is why in the first section we'll create a resume, we'll gather all the necessary details which we want. Then moving forward, we will make our resume better by making it ATS friendly. Okay, by knowing how to bypass the ATS software. And then after that, this would be a second section to bypass the ATS software. And then after that, we will be enhancing our resume to pass the recruiter review. And then for the final section, we'll be making a resume to pass the interviewer review as well. Okay, got it? So these will be the four sections: creating resume, bypassing ATS, impressing recruiter, and then finally impressing the interviewer. Okay, thumbs up, give me a thumbs up. Cool. So let's start with the very first topic, that is creating your resume. Now for creating any of the resumes, there are these 7 points that you need to have in your resume. Like these are really important and these should be there in your resume. Now talking about the very first point, that is contact information. So just a call out, Chirasha, if any of the messages come in the chat, I might not be able to see them. So can you just pass on the messages whenever I stop? Okay.
Okay, sure.
Cool. Okay, now let's talk about how to create a resume. So these are the 7 pointers which I was talking about, that these are really important while you are creating your resume. Okay. The first one is your contact information. Now I'll also be sharing my resume as well, which I used to getting into Atlassian. Okay. This resume template, which I'll just be sharing, this was the one which helped me in getting into Atlassian. So this is specific to Atlassian only. I'll share how this is different from the other resumes that I have. But yeah, currently this is only for Atlassian one. Okay. So talking about the first point, that is contact information. So regarding the contact information, what all contact information I had was my email ID, my phone number, my university, and then after that, my LinkedIn URL. So what all things you need to have that are really important is, the first one is your email ID should be there. You can have or you can have or not, like you can omit your phone number, that is your choice. But having a LinkedIn URL, your LinkedIn profile, that is a must. And then after that, having your college, like that is not comes under into a contact information. But yeah, like you can have the contact, like you can have your IP university or the college in which you are in at as a top bar in your resume. Okay. So the 3 things that are really important in your contact information is, the first is your email ID. The second is your LinkedIn account. LinkedIn account is really, really important. And the third one is your phone number, that you can choose or like you can omit that as well. Okay. Like the phone number is your choice, but the rest 2 are really important. Talking about the education part. So for the education part, if you see, I have my bachelor in technology, like I have done my education, like BTech is there, then my 12th is there, then my 10th is there. So most of the people, what they usually do is they usually put in their BTech only. Okay. This can work very well if you are an experienced engineer, like if you are applying for an experienced role. But if you are applying for a fresher, then having your BTech as well as 10th and 12th is good as well. Okay. Like you should, if you are applying as a fresher, then having your 12th and 10th in education, it works fine. Okay. You should have this. Now talking about projects. Before projects, we'll talk about experience. Okay. This, which is the 4th point, we'll talk about that. Okay. So now in this case, I have added my 2 experiences. Now before joining Atlassian, I was there in Justpay, and before that, like my first internship was there in Godfrey Phillips. Okay. So these were the 2 experiences which I added. And to make these experiences more enhanced, what I used was, I made them, like I added a timeline for the same, and then I also added what I performed, like what I did for the same. Okay. You should not only add like where you were there, or like you should not only add that you were SD intern in Jasper Technologies. That should not work. You should always add what all things you did and how these things, like you should also add the quantifiable detail कि जो भी मैंने काम किया वो कितना impactful रहा. Okay. So for example, here I said that I worked on functional programming using languages like Haskell, PureScript. So these are the languages like Haskell, PureScript, and Presto UI, which are inbuilt framework of Jasper. So that is why I built I worked on an inbuilt framework of Justpay. Also, if you talk about the data analyst intern part, there I built a resource productivity dashboard that helped around 1,000 plus employees. Okay, so that increased the productivity of 1,000 plus employees. So all these quantifiable details you should add in your experience so that your resume looks much good. Okay, so this is like standing this. All these things will help your resume stand out. Okay.
Okay, so Harshit, since we are at the experience stage right now, so we have a query from Aman Kothari who says, when you say a experienced professional, can you please mention in terms of year of experience?
So for years of experience, I would say that you are not a fresher. Anyone who is not a fresher is an experienced professional. For example, anyone who has worked in an industry for more than 1.5 years is an experienced professional. Okay, like if you have worked for the difference between a fresher and an experienced one is the fresher who we consider fresher as a one who is just passed out of college and looking for a job opportunity. Experience is the one who is working in an industry and then is looking for a job switch or a better opportunity. Am I clear?
Yes.
Cool, I'll consider that as well. Cool.
Yes, he has written. Thanks for the clarification.
Sure. Cool. So this was about the experience part, work experience part. Talking about your projects. So even if you are experienced or a fresher, projects have a really great importance whenever you are making your resume. This is because all of these things are theoretical experiences, but or theoretical experiences or an experience like if you are adding your experience like you were there in Jasper Technologies, so you worked under someone's guidance, right? If you're there in an industry, you work under someone's guidance. But if you are building some of your own projects, that showcases your ability to build something. Okay, so like that is really important because that shows that you are yourself able to build something good. Okay, so that is why project sections is really important, and you should add some of your projects that you have created under the project sections. So what I did is I created these two projects on my own, and these were the practice projects. So what does practice projects means in my cases, that these were the projects which I created with the help of some like with someone's guidance. Okay, so like I watched some of the videos or I did some of the courses, and there these were projects were being done. So that is why I chose to wrote them under practice project section, because so that the interviewer knows that these were done under someone's guidance, and these two projects were done by me. Okay, so these two projects were done independently by me, so that is why I've written them under the project section. So these two projects were the main projects in which in the interviewer can showcase, like the interviewer can know that these two projects that I worked on, and this is my skill set, and I can work independently if I'm given some task like this. Okay, so I hope that is clear. So that is why adding project section is really important. And if you see that this project section has a link attached to it, like if you see that this is a blue, right? So this is underlined part, so this is actually a link. This is actually a picture, so I cannot open this link, but this is actually a github link where I have uploaded my project. So that is very important, that you also upload your projects to a particular site. For example, GitHub is really good to sharing projects. There you can upload all your projects, and that acts as a really good uh, intermediate in which you can showcase your skills, and the interviewer can see that the projects that you are mentioning are legit projects. Okay, they are not any fake responses, they are actual projects. Cool. So जो भी आप project बनाओगे, you should upload them to GitHub, like you should learn that as well, and उनके links आपको यहाँ पे provide करने हैं so that the interviewer can see that
Najib, can you please remove that person from the meeting? And sorry about that, Harshit and
Yeah.
everyone.
Cool. So you can add all your projects here. Okay. Now talking about so projects is done. Talking about your achievements. Okay. So achievements and position of responsibilities go hand in hand. Okay. I'll tell you what is there. So in achievements, so both of these things are like you are praising yourself. Like okay. So these things, praising yourself is also very important when you are applying for a resume, when you are applying to a particular company, because all your achievements and position of responsibilities, these all things are the ones that showcases that you have done something good, like, and you have achieved results as well. Okay, that you are able to gain some results out of all these things. like what all things you have done, you were able to achieve the results out of that. Okay. So in achievements, if you see, I have written that I got rank 1 in mate over 9.63 CGPA. So these are things that are really important when you are applying for a resume, when you are making your resume, and you should always showcase them as your achievements. And considering about the position of responsibilities, so position of responsibilities is one of the important sections as well, just because this showcases that you are able to get some responsibility, like you were able to gain some responsibility, and then you were able to work on it and produce some output. Okay. आपको कोई responsibility दी गई थी, this means like position of responsibility means that you were given some responsibility, you were able to act on it, and then after that you were able to get some output after that. Okay. So this shows that you are able to get some responsibility and you are capable in it. Okay. So you should add achievements and position of responsibilities as well in your resume. So this was about the creating part. Others optional sections means like you can add your hobbies and interests. These are just the conversation starters. For example, even if in a particular interview you are feeling nervous enough, so you can add these hobbies and interests, and the interviewer can grab these opportunities. Like if he can talk about the badminton, cricket, or drawing part, and then can start the conversation and remove that like झिझकपन remove हो जाएगी उससे, ठीक है. So these are just the starters. You can choose to remove that hobbies and interests, but all of the other sections which I talked about, the contact information, the education, experience, coursework, projects, and achievements, along with position responsibilities, these are really important for a fresher and as well as for the experienced one. Okay. So this was about the creating a resume part. I hope this is clear. Now we will
Harshit, sorry to barge in, but we have concerns regarding a fresher's resume.
Yeah, sure.
One who doesn't have any year of experience.
Okay. So yeah, that is very common concern. So if you don't have any year of experience, that is not a much of concern because you are a fresher, right? You can try to add coursework and projects there. Like you can try to cover it up by adding more projects, more of good projects and practice projects. You can also add achievements, or you can also add that you were there in this particular society. For example, this particular society in which you are affiliated to, you can add all these things and you can add their experiences as well. Okay. Like for example, you were there in this particular society and you helped in mentoring your juniors. So these are all the things which you can add in replacement of your experiences. Okay. Like you have worked in a particular society, you were there in a particular society, or you can add more of your projects. So like interviewer also knows that you are a fresher and you can have or cannot have experience. That is a like known part, so you can choose to remove that.
Okay, so I hope that answers the question. And well, we have one more question from Adarsh. If I had participated in any coding competitions or hackathons, then should I mention those things in experience section?
I think they are more of an achievement part. Like you can definitely mention that. Like for example, so see these are all like plays of the world, right? You participated in a contest, that is good. Like that is really good. Like you are participating, but were you able to get something out of it? For example, I participated, but I was not the first. And like if you see this hack CBS, I was not in the first. Like I was not coming in the first 30. Like I did not get any rank in that particular team. So I wrote that I was in the top 20 teams in hack CBS. So this shows a more of an impression. Like I was there in top 20 teams. So this is more like an achievement for me. Okay. So if you see hack CBS has 5K plus teams. So that is why being in top 20 teams is also an achievement. So you can modify your all these things according to your achievements. Okay. So though like if you have participated in any coding competition or anything of that sort, you can say that you were there runner up, or you managed to get a fifth or sixth rank, or even if you get a first rank, that is like the best part, of course. But even if you could not, you can always mention that I came into top 10, I came into top 20s. So that is also good. So that comes more in achievements part. Am I clear?
Okay. And I think we can take up other questions at the end.
Yeah, sure. No worries. Cool. So this was about my resume. Now, talking about the second point, that is bypassing the ATS software. So what is ATS? Like I told you before, right? Most of you already know about ATS. So ATS is applicant tracking system. Now, what it does, it basically checks your resume. It is basically a software. It is a like no ATS does not have any mind of its own. Like, it is not like AI or ML. It is just a normal software that will only look for some keywords, qualifications or relevant experiences in your resume. ये एक नॉर्मल सा सॉफ्टवेयर है जो सिर्फ ये 3 चीजें देखेगा आपके रिज्यूमे में, कीवर्ड्स, क्वालिफिकेशंस एंड रेलेवेंट एक्सपीरियंस. ठीक है. हमारे पास एक जॉब प्रोफाइल है. फॉर एग्जांपल, एटलासियन इज हायरिंग फॉर अ सॉफ्टवेयर इंजीनियर हैविंग 2+ years of experience, let's say. ठीक है. So Atlassian is hiring a front-end developer for 2+ years of experience. That is experience in React, for example. Okay. So what ATS will do is ATS will gather all the keywords like 2+ years of experience, React, and front-end developer. All these things it will gather and it will check in your resume. Is your resume like, are you 2+ years of experience? Have you worked in front-end? Have you worked under React part? So all of these things will be scanned by ATS. And if you do not pass the ATS software, like if you do not get into that, like if you do not, ATS generates a score. If you're not up to the score, like ATS will directly reject your resume, and your resume will not even see a human recruiter. I know this is a very bad thing. Like, every resume should be seen by a recruiter because every resume is unique in its own way. But this is like current way of selecting the filtering out the best resumes. Because if you see Atlassian, because if you see any of the job openings get hundreds of resumes in their portal, right? Like, even if like Atlassian or any other company, they post any of the job openings, they will get hundreds of resume for them, for that particular opening. So they have to gather some of the way. So that is where ATS comes in, applicant tracking system. It scans for these 3 keywords, and then it directly rejects or selects the resume on the basis of these 3 keywords. Okay. Now, talking about how can you make your resume up to this part. Okay. So I'll tell you what I did. Okay. So for example, I was applying to Atlassian. I went to the job profile, when you see the requirement section, जब भी आपकी job profile आती है, for which you want to apply, you can see that there is a job requirement sections as well. There it was written that we need a software engineer who is trained in Java. Something of this sort was written. So what I did was I modified my resume. So see, this is my resume. What I did was I knew Java as well. Like, all of these things which you're mentioning in your resume should also be authentic. This is this is very important part. I'll come to this later. But any of the skills or abilities or experiences, any of these things that you are applying to your resume, they should be dead authentic. Okay. You cannot add any of the irrelevant experiences or any of the skills that are not there in your skill set. Okay. So you should know them at least. Like, you should not master them. No skill can be mastered completely. That is a very known part, but you should have basic knowledge about it. Okay. So let's talk about what I did for Atlassian. Okay. So for example, Atlassian is heavily based on Java. They work tirelessly in Java. They're trying to shift on other languages as well, but currently their major code source is Java only. Okay. So what I did was I added Java in my skills and ability section. Okay. Because I knew Java as well. Now, talking about Atlassian. So Atlassian is very much known for Jira. So when I got to know that I'm applying for Atlassian, what additional thing I did was I learned Jira as well. So if you see in my other skills, I have put in Jira as there. Okay. Because knowing Jira and working on Jira is also one of the skills that Atlassian will definitely appreciate, because it shows that I'm tirelessly, like, I'm too much attracted to that company and I want to be in that company, and that is why I'm putting more efforts than other candidates, and I'm learning their products as well. Okay, so these were the additional things that I did. I went on to the Atlassian portal. I got to know that Atlassian is working on Jira. I learned Jira as well, and I also put in my coursework, like from where I learned Jira. That is also very important part. Okay, so I told them that I learned Jira from Coursera certificate. Okay, so this is a Coursera certificate, Jira Agile with Atlassian. You can search for it. This is a Coursera course. So I did that course. I added that into my coursework, and then I also added the Jira keyword in my other skills. Okay, that I know Jira as well. Apart from this, I added Java as well, and I added SDE intern, like software development engineer intern experience in my experience. So I was there in Jasper Technologies. I had SDE experience as well, and Atlassian was also hiring for SDE role. Okay, so I added that in my experience. So by doing all these things, I was able to get through the ATS. Okay, I was able to bypass the ATS software because what I know is that ATS was looking for keywords like Java, SD, and then maybe Jira because Atlassian is Jira specific. Like Atlassian has Jira as its main software, main product. So maybe Jira. I'm not sure, but I added on as my part. Like even if I get through the final interview, the interview will be really happy to see that I put in more efforts and I learned Jira for them. Okay, so that was what all things that I did, and you can do the same. For example, even if you want to apply to any other company, any of the companies that you want, what you can do is you can go through that company's portal, company's job profile, then look for the relevant keywords that you know. Or what you can do is, even if you don't know, you can start learning them, and then if you have learned in them enough, you can add them in your resume. Okay, and then after that, if you can search for their products, what, like if you are applying for a product based company, you can search what products they have, and can you have some certification on that product, can you learn something on that product. This, doing these small things will really help in standing your resume out, and they will really help in making your chances really good in being selected in that company. Okay, just because you're putting extra effort than the other candidates. Got it? And then these were the relevant experiences which I already told about, that I added, like I was a SD intern in Jaspe, so I added the relevant experiences as well. Cool. So this is how you can bypass the ATS. Okay, this is the bypassing the ATS is the really important part, because I'm really emphasizing on this because it is really important. The fact that I told you 75% of the resumes are not even seen by a human recruiter. This is just because they are directly rejected by ATS. Okay, so bypassing ATS is really important, and you should definitely work on it. Okay, so we have done the bypassing ATS part. Any questions? Any questions you can ask in the chat box, or you can directly DM me or Chirashi.
Okay, so we have certain questions which are okay. One from Amir. Should we apply even when we meet 60% of the requirements, or does it have to be a 100% match? And how much does an employee referral help?
Okay. These are two big questions. Okay, yeah. So you can apply even if you have 60% match. Like, they are not looking. So I'll tell you what a company is looking for. Okay, so companies are looking for a person who is able to learn something, and then they can transform them to learning their particular skill set, and then help them in their productivity. Okay, so for example, my company, okay, I am looking for candidates who have really good IQ level, or who are really good in Java. Okay, now even if a particular person is not 100% good in Java, but has really good IQ and has done a lot of DSA in their course, or in their skill set, they have learned a lot of DSA, they have worked on other languages as well. This shows me that they will be able to compete in my organization as well. Okay, बहुत ही valid point है कि अगर कोई, like even if a person was able to learn a particular language, was able to do a lot of problem solving via DSA and all these things, so he or she will definitely be able to compete in my company as well. So I will definitely select that candidate. But just because you need to bypass the ATS software, you can put, like, if even if you know 60% of the Java, you can definitely put that in your resume, and I think you should put that in your resume. Okay, no one can know 100% of everything. Okay, so that is why you should put, if even if you have 60%, even if you have done 60%, you should definitely put that in your resume. Okay, so I think I answered the first question. Now talking about the second question, referral. I mean, referral really helps. So I'll tell you what happens is, if you apply to a referral, there are less chances that your resume will be going through a ATS software. So basically, what referral does is, referral is like, I am referring that I am working in that particular company, and I am referring that you are working good enough. You can pass the interview of my company. I am assured of that, and that is why I am referring. So this a case, this whole scenario may, like this whole scenario will have like less people will have this scenario, right? काफी कम लोग होंगे जो रेफरल के थ्रू आगे आ पाएंगे, एंड जहाँ पे कम प्रोबेबिलिटी है, जहाँ पे कम लोग हैं, दैट इज व्हेन यू गेट द मोस्ट चांस इन गेटिंग अ इंटरव्यू कॉल एंड देन क्लियरिंग द इंटरव्यू. बट अगर आप किसी नॉर्मल जॉब लिंक से अप्लाई करोगे, देन वहां पे तो ऑलरेडी हंड्रेड्स ऑफ रेज्यूमेस पहुंच ही रखे हैं, सो देयर योर रिजेक्शन चांस इज मोर. ओके, सो रेफरल रियली हेल्प्स, बट you should prove, like if you know the person, then that is other thing. But if you don't know the person, then you have to prove themselves that why you are worthy of getting that referral. Okay, Like you have to do enough coursework and then tell them that you are worthy of getting this referral, and you will be able to clear that interview, and then you can get the referral. Cool. So referral really helps.
Okay. So next question we have from Aman Kothari. Please confirm when you say that 2+ year of experience, is it calculated from what we mentioned it, a work duration, something like 2021 till present?
Okay, so 2+ years of experience is like hard rule of 2+ years of experience. Like if you are working, if you started working from 2021, then you can only apply to that profile after 2023 mid. Like 2+ means 2.5 at least. Okay, so like this is hard requirement, and I really get a lot of DMs on LinkedIn telling me about getting like asking for job referrals for 2+ years of experience, and they only have 2 or 1.5 years of experience. So that is really important that you at least have 2.5 years of experience if it is written 2+ years of experience. Okay, and that is calculated with your first job. Like you got your first job in 2021, and then after 2 years you can apply for that. Like after 2.5 years you can start applying to a job requirement that requires 2+ years of experience.
Hey Harshit, sorry to interrupt you. I think you missed the context. I wanted to ask, when we specify a work duration for a particular position, we specify something like 2021 to present. So does a ATS system calculate that based on what we specified? Like, because it collects the keywords and something like that for a particular profile. And if something, the next question based on your answer, you said like if something is mid of 2+ years of experience, or if something a job profile says 1 to 3 years of experience, and we are at 2 point some years of some months of experience basically. So will we be qualified or eligible for that role or profile?
Okay, talking about the first question, you talked about like you want I think your first question was around if you have 2+ years of experience. Can you repeat your first question?
Yeah, so I mentioned like if we specify the duration 2021 to present, yeah. So does ATS calculates it based on what we specify?
Yes, it does. But even if it like you can additionally add that you have 2+ years of experience in your resume as well. Like when you are writing in your job profile, like if you have experience, you can write below that you have 2+ years of experience, just to be additionally sure. Like 2+ years of front end experience working under React.js, working under this project. You can add then details of the project. You can modify your resume like that, so that you are double sure. Like it definitely calculates the present one, but just to be double sure, like there are different types of ATS softwares. So just to be double sure, you can add your 2+ keyword there as well. Okay, and talking about the second part where you talked about that the job requirement has 1 to 3 years of experience, then 2+ will definitely suffice, right? That is like the dead, like that is a good requirement, so that will suffice. No issues. I am just talking about having 2 years of experience and then applying for 2+ years of experience will not suffice. Okay, that is not good, because you have just completed 2 years and then you are applying to, like you are trying to apply for 2+ years of experience, which is like on the borderline. So those cases, because if you see for the all of the other resumes, they will definitely be 2.5 years plus of experience, and a company will definitely prefer them over you. Okay, like I know this is harsh, this is rude, but this is like harsh reality of what it is actually happening. So I really wanted it to emphasize on this, that if you are applying for 2+years of experience, you should at least have 2.5 years of plus of experience.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for the clarification, and sorry to interrupt in between.
No worries, no worries.
Okay.
Cool.
So,
We'll take the further questions down the line. I'll just cover
sure,
the
sure.
rest of the 2 sections, and then we can take all the questions. Okay.
Yes, okay.
Now let's talk about the third part in our resume cycle, and that was recruiter review. So I'll tell you, like this is about handling recruiter. So recruiter, who is a recruiter? So recruiter is just an intermediate between a candidate and a company. They are the ones who are just talking to the candidates getting the schedules, getting the resumes, and just authenticating the experiences or the information in that particular resume. Just remember that the recruiters are not a technical persons. Okay, they do not know much about the technicalities and all these things. They just want to know that if your resume is authentic and truthful or not. Okay, so just to pass the recruiter review, if you have passed the ATS review, to pass the recruiter review, that is really an easy part. You should all the links that you have mentioned. So in resume, if you see, you mention your projects link as well. You mention your lead code profiles or code chef, code forces profile. Any of the profiles, any of the links that you mention, they all should be working. Make sure like all of them should be working and should be authentic links. Okay, so these were the things which recruiter takes care of. An authentic experience. So what recruiter does is they also do the background checks. So if you have mentioned that you were a SG intern in Jasper Technologies, they will verify it for you. Like they will do a background check, and you should definitely like this experiences should be authentic. Okay, you should not add any false experiences just to make your resume outstanding. Okay, so that is like that. If you do something of that sort, there are high chances of getting blacklisted. So do not try anything or adding any false information because they do background check as well. Cool. Now adding about the truthful information, this is all about like making your resume authentic only. Like all of these position of responsibilities, achievements, they cannot directly link all these things, but your resume should be truthful. Like, right? Because you do not want to get a job that is based on false information. Okay. Like integrity should be there, and you should always add true and truthful information. Cool. So passing the recruiter review is a easy part. Like you should only be truthful and authentic, and you can work fine. Now talking about our last stage, that is impressing the interviewer. So now interviewer is very different from the recruiter because he sees you from a standpoint of technical. Like right, he sees you from a technical standpoint. The interviewer that is there taking your interview, they will judge you on your skills. They will scan through your resume. They will judge you on your skills. They will judge you based on your experiences. They will understand your resume. And you should also understand their mentality as well. So if I am an interviewer, I have taken a lot of interviews. Like okay, like if you consider going to an interview, the interview present there has already interviewed a lot of candidates before you. Okay, say so they already know the point which I'm trying to portray is they already know what a candidate thinks, like what all false information or what all things a candidate can do just to prove themselves right in the resume, or just to prove themselves right in the interview. So they know all of these mentalities, so they are well versed with all of these things. So you should not try to portray anything false there. Like you should always try to be truthful. This is like a really good emphasis. Like really, I'm really emphasizing on this just because they are really experienced enough to gather any of the false information that you are providing. Okay, so they will quickly judge you, and if you are providing any false information, they can always reject you, right? So do not try to portray anything bad or anything false. Just be yourself. Now how to impress the interviewer, that is what you can do by researching the company. So for example, I talked about Atlassian, right? I researched the company. I got to know that Jira is their product. There are other products as well, like Confluence, etc. I researched about all those products, and then what I did was I learned about those products. Like only the Jira I learned. I was not able to learn about the Confluence much. I was able to learn about Jira at that point in time. So I put Jira under my skill section, and I also put that under coursework section. Okay. So this was how I was able to get the attention of the interview, that he has already worked on, he has already know, like he already knows about Jira, he has already worked on Jira. So उन्हें ये लग गया, like he got to know about this, and I was like, that was the very first point of me impressing my interviewer. Okay. Now the second point is understanding the job. Now if you are like, you should be well versed by understanding the job is that if you are applying for a front end role, you should definitely be well versed. Like this is a very simple and basic point, that if you are applying for a front end role, you should be well versed with the job. You should know what experience that the job requires and what all things that the job requires. That will be already verified. But just to be sure, like you should understand the job completely, and then only get to the interview. Because sometimes what happens is, like previously when I was taking some of the fresher interviews, I got to know that some of the persons who are coming there, they don't even know what they were giving the interview for. For example, I was previously in Jasper, I was taking one of the interviews for data analyst. So he came to me, like he came in the interview, and then he talked about, like he was giving the interview of SD role. So there were different roles in Jasper. At that point in time, I was hiring for data, like we were hiring for data analyst, and then he was not aware of that. So just to understand the job, that is really important. Okay. And then the third point is like praising yourself. Like you should highlight your achievements, which I did by having achievements and position of responsibility section. You can highlight all of your achievements here, and then this will definitely help in impressing the interviewer. Okay, like you can, and also these achievements should be relevant. Okay, you should not add that you were first in your school, something of that sort. That would not help. Okay, so you should add the relevant things, that you have solved this much questions on lead code, you were there, lead code chef, you were there in this uh, coding challenge or something of that sort. You can add all those relevant things which are relevant to that particular job. Okay, so this is about impressing the interviewer. This is the final stage of making your resume the best. So that was impressing the interviewer. So I hope I was able to explain all this resume cycle, like creating the resume, how to bypass the ATS software, recruiter review, then interview review. Okay. So now I'm open to any of the questions that you want to ask, and then we will conclude this session.
Okay, so Harshit, we have certain questions in the chat box right now. One is previously we talked about DSA and the importance of DSA in adding it in our resume and during the interviews as well. So one question is from Amritanshu Keshri. He is asking, I have one question that how much DSA should I know? How much DSA question should I do in Lead Code HackerRank so that I confirm that I can get placement in Atlassian? One more thing, Atlassian is hiring intern or not?
Okay. So, I mean, there is no quantity in DSA, right? Like it's like practice makes you perfect, right? In DSA, you have to practice a lot of things. Now, I cannot say a particular number would work for you. Like if I say 200 questions, that does not mean that if you do 200 questions of arrays, you will be good to go for a class and interview. No, right? So you have, I can tell you a cycle, like I can tell you a method which you can follow to get yourself well versed with DSA. Okay. So instead of knowing how many questions you want to do, you should get the information of how much, like what method should I follow for getting well versed with DSA. And the method for that is, the first one is you should know all the basic data structures and the advanced data structures. Okay. Now in basic data structures, there are all the data structures like arrays, linked lists, stack, queues, doubly linked list, or a 2D matrix. All of these things come under basic data structures, which you should definitely know. Now coming to the advanced data structures, those are trees, graphs, hash maps, like, or these tries, right? So all of these are advanced data structures. Now firstly, you should gather enough information and you should solve some basic questions on all these basic and advanced data structures. Okay. Now once you are well versed with the basics of all these data structures, then you can proceed to the next step, in which you can try to solve questions on platforms like Lead Code, Interview Bit, Geeks for Geeks. So these are the three platforms that I recommend. Like they work very well for me. So I hope that they will work for you as well. So if you go to Lead Code, what you can do is you can go to the problem section, and there you can sort the problems on the basis of is difficulty level, like easy, medium, hard. And there are also filters on which data structure you want to practice. Okay, so what I recommend is click on, like, for every data structure, do some of the easy problems, some of the medium problems, and then some of the hard problems. Okay, initially you might not be able to do the hard problems, but you can try and practice. Like this is not a one day thing, you have to do it consistently for 4 to 5 months, and then you will be able to get well versed with DSA. So this is like the second step. Coming to the third and the final step of making you well versed with the DSA ready for placement interview. So then what you can do is you can start giving challenges. So in Lead Code as well, there are weekly and bi-weekly challenges. You can start giving them. There are also like tons of interviews, tons of coding challenges coming every day in day out. In You can check them in any of the platforms like HackerRank. You can check there. So a lot of platforms are out there in which you can check the same. There you can find a lot of coding challenges or placement coding grounds. So you can do give them as well, like do give more coding challenges, just because that will make you well versed with solving a particular question within a time frame. Okay, solving a question is good because you will take for example 2 days in solving one particular question, but solving that within 2 hours time frame or within a stipulated time frame is an important skill to get. Okay, so you can try to get that particular skill as well by giving more and more coding challenges. So this is how your placement plan should be. Like this is how your method of learning DSA should be. You should not only focus on number of questions, you should focus on how to do, like how to follow all these methods. I hope I was clear. Cool, that's all.
Okay, so a question that is being raised multiple times.
Mhm.
So it is regarding how should we mention the year gap in a resume?
Year gap, okay.
Yes.
So I think for most of you, are most of you college ones or experienced ones? Like I'm getting a review that you might have year gap regarding the JE preparation. Like you might have taken 1 year gap for the JE preparation, or you are like experienced folks are also there. Just to confirm.
Okay, so the questions which are the people who has raised such questions
Mhm.
are basically 22 or previous batch graduates, and they want to know that how should they explain this year gap of 2 to 3 years.
Okay, okay. So see, 2 to 3 years is like a short year gap. The long year gaps are really like they do not reflect good on a resume. For example, if you're taking year gap of more than 4 or 5 years, that does not reflect good. But if you're taking 2 or 3, three is also on the higher side. But if even if you're taking 2 or 3 years year of gaps, you should have a relevant explanation for the same. Okay, like if you are having a good explanation, for example you were learning some skill or there were some personal issues, like that can definitely happen, but you should definitely explain why that year gap is there. Like a truthful and honest explanation should be there for that year gap, and you're good to go. Like everyone is a person and they understand that you might have some issues, like there might be some cases in which you have to take year gap. There is no such issue, a lot of people do that, and if you have an honest explanation for that, they would suffice. Like there is no issue. Like this would not be a case of your rejection, I can assure you that, if you have a good and honest explanation for this. Okay, apart from this, what you can do as an additional part is, in that year gap you can try to accommodate that you try to learn some set of skills. Okay, for example, I am having 2 years of gap, and in this particular 2 year of gap I had this is issue. Okay, this is why I took this year gap, but apart from having this issue, I learned this skill as well. Okay, for example, I learned web development, or I learned a bit of ML or AI. So all of these things I learned within these 2 years. So they will get the opportunity that they had their reasons to take the year gap, and then in the year gap they did not completely waste it, they also learned these particular skills. So that is like the best option which I can give you. Okay.
Okay. Okay, we even have questions about which website is useful for making resume.
Okay, yeah, that is one point I wanted to consider. Yeah, so basically, I initially in my college I did not know much about all these websites. Like uh, I did not focus much on resume. Now I know I should have focused more. But yeah, I created my this resume is on Canva itself. Like this is a very basic template, but this is on Canva. But I currently would not recommend using Canva, but because it is not ATS friendly. At that time I knew it is not ATS friendly, but what hack I applied was I downloaded this resume into PDF format and then I converted it into doc format. So doc formats, all of these doc formats are really readable by the ATS software. So even if you're creating resume using any of the creative tools like Canva, Figma, a lot of these tools are there which have a lot of resume templates. You can just convert that to PDF and then convert them to doc. Okay, so these doc formats are really readable by the ATS software and you are good to go. And if you don't want to get into all this hassle, you can create your resumes using Overleaf. There is a platform, really good platform, Overleaf. You can use that. Okay, and then if you want to create just a basic resume, then you can use Google Doc as well. Like that is so very generic.
Okay.
Okay.
Uh, we have a question that What if I work in a company that is not related to my field? I work there only for money. Can I add that in my experience?
Uh, do you have can you ask Rasha, does he or she has other experiences, relevant experiences, or only that experience?
Hmm.
So
Okay,
I'll answer for
so
both the cases.
yeah.
So if you have other relevant experiences, it is good to add those experiences and just mention that experience as a small portion in your experience section, just to know that you did not have any year gap. Okay. Now if you do not have any other experiences, you can mention that, and then you can mention that as an experience and do not emphasize it on much. Okay. Just because you don't want to leave your experience section as empty, that does not reflect good, because that will reflect as a like you did not do anything. So you can add that in your experience if you did not do anything apart from that. But if you have done, you can add then as well, but just add it as a normal point, like normal experience section, just to know that you did not have any year gap, because then they will ask question that why do you have year gap. Then then you will have to explain that I was working in this company. So that is not a truthful information. You can add that at either ways.
Okay. Harshit, one question I want to ask. It is from my side only. So, shall we go ahead with two column resumes or only a single line resume?
uh, both of them are good. Like if they are having formal fonts
Hmm.
and good spaces between them, like
Okay.
if the style is good or everything is good, then both of them would suffice. But if you want to use any additional formatting, then you can go with single column as well. But yeah,
Okay.
in my case, like from my point of view, I
Hmm.
think both of them are fine. Like if you have good formatting, good layouts as well, and formal fonts you have used,
Hmm.
then both of them would suffice. I know most of the people say that single column work well, but in my case, both of them work well.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Cool. So I think that's all. I'll just quickly share. So I'll just quickly share about additional about myself. So if you follow me on LinkedIn and YouTube, I'm constantly creating posts on placements, career learning, resumes as well. Like this was a resume part. I'm creating posts on all of these topics, which will make you placement ready. Okay, so I'm posting every second day, so you will definitely be able to get more information and be more well versed with what is there practically going on in all the industries, and you will be able to get much more insights in if you follow me at LinkedIn and YouTube. And for YouTube, I have new videos every week, and in LinkedIn I have new posts every second day. So I'm regular there, and you can follow there for more such content, and you can reach out to me at there as well. Cool. So that's all from my side. Thank you. It was great meeting you all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Harshit. It was great having you. And
Sure.
it was a really amazing session. I hope everyone enjoyed it as well. Looking at the number of questions that we received and you answered, I think that we answered almost every question and we resolved all the doubts that they have.
Sure, sure.
Hey Harshit, I had just final thing. I have reached out to you on LinkedIn for one of the opening at Lashin. Could you please have a look? And if I'm eligible, can you please give me a referral?
Sure, sure, sure. I'll take a look. I might have taken a look, like I respond to the teams, but yeah, I'll take a look again.
Sure, thanks. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Cool.
you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone. Bye bye. Take care, everyone. Good night.
Bye, everyone. So, guys, if you have any other question, you can just post it on group and I will just ask Harshit to answer them separately later on. Okay.